make your writing more impactful, or do you feel like you're always using the same words or phrases all the time? Then this is going to be the video for you, because we are going to be talking about the 6 words that you should be looking out for in your manuscript to either delete or replace to make your book stronger. These are common words that you're using as a crutch as a writer that as a result is causing your story to be weaker in some way, shape, or form. So with that said, we're going to be talking about filler words and filter words today, so be sure to stay tuned. Hello everyone, my name is Mandi Lynn. I'm an author, book cover designer, and the creator of the Book Launch Planner series, and I make weekly videos on the business of being an author. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you never miss a new upload. So like I said, the main thing we're talking about today is filler words and filter words. So let's discuss what that is. First off, what is a filler word? A filler word is a word that if you removed it from the sentence, it would still mean the same exact thing. So essentially, it's just an extra word. Now, if you use them here or there, it's not a big deal, but sometimes as writers, there are particular filler words that we use all the time that start to feel repetitive to the point where readers can actually notice it. Now, what are filter words? A filter word is a word that's in the sentence that's making the reader step back from the experience. It's using a word in place of describing something better through the reader's shoes. It means that the narrator of the book, whether it be third person or first person, is giving information to the reader rather than letting the reader experience the information. So for example, instead of saying Emma can hear the birds singing, you would want to change it to the birds are singing. And it's making the readers a little bit separate from the action, which is hearing the birds singing. You want the readers to be the one hearing rather than having a narrator hear it, if that makes sense. To describe it a bit better, filter words have to do with the senses. So like I said, in this case, the word was hear. The sense is that we're hearing something, but it can be any verb that describes any of the senses. It's a verb that's telling the reader what's happening instead of just letting the reader experience what's happening. So now that we've talked about filler and filter words, let's talk about some specific words to look out for. One word that I'm always guilty of using is the word seemed. And I know this maybe isn't a filler word for a lot of people, but it is for me. So let's give you an example. She seemed like she was mad. And this seems okay. Oh God, here we go. I just used the word seemed. But the issue here is that we are telling the readers that she's mad instead of just showing that she's mad. So if she actually is mad, go ahead and describe it. So let's change the sentence to, she was staring at me with a scowl, her brows furrowed and fists clenched. Obviously, that's way more descriptive and it lets us get way better of a sense of what's going on. You can see here that the first sentence was much weaker and the second sentence is much stronger because it's much more descriptive and you as a reader experience it, which is what it all comes down to. We want the reader to experience things rather than to just be told things. The next word I want to talk about is the word just. 9 times out of 10, this word tends to be a filler word. So if we take an example, I had just taken my first sip. If we remove just from the sentence still means the same exact thing. I had taken my first sip. The word just didn't add or subtract anything from the sentence when we removed it. And there's many other filler words like this, and you can actually look up a list of filler words online. I just feel like just is one of the most common ones and the easiest to remove from a sentence. The next word is also a filler word / a filter word. I feel like it can qualify as both, and that is the words really and very. They are useless modifiers that do nothing to add description. So let's say we're saying someone's very mad. It's the same thing as before. Like if she's very mad, just describe how mad she is rather than using the word very. And then same with really. So instead of saying I was really hungry, we can say It had been hours since I'd eaten. I was hungry enough that the slobbery crackers in the toddler's hand was starting to look enticing. Again, we have a very weak sentence versus a very strong sentence. And this is just an example how these filler words and filter words can be a crutch of allowing us to be kind of lazy writers instead of being more descriptive writers. And then the next set of words I want to talk about are honestly and actually. These words are words that attempt to add emphasis to things, but don't. Or an example of honestly, if we say something honestly, then is it inferring that everything else we were saying was not honest, which usually isn't the case. So again, you can remove the word honestly or actually from a sentence and it can still mean the same thing, and it doesn't typically add emphasis. I also notice myself as a writer, I tend to use the word honestly a lot. So I feel like when you use it once or twice throughout an entire book, it's fine. But I got to the point where I was using it at least once a chapter, which is not great. So to do another example, if we have the word honestly in a sentence, we can say, I honestly didn't understand why we needed to leave. If we remove that word, we can see it has the same impact. I didn't understand why we needed to leave. And those are the 6 words that I found that I'm guilty of using the most, but there's a ton of others. For example, we have even, quite, then, simply, always, possibly. Those are all filler or filter words as well. If there's particular filler or filter words you find yourself using all the time, let me know in the comments down below, because I feel like we could make a list of at least 50 words that can be used as filler words. Now, is that to say you should never use filler words in your novel? I don't think so. I think it can be very easy to be over analytical of your writing and to get really paranoid about using no filler words. I think you just want to make sure you don't use too many filler words. So when you're in either like the copy or line editing stage, you can start looking out for them. And also, it's helpful to be aware of them as you are writing your first draft. I find that I'm aware of using the word honestly, so whenever I see myself writing it in the first draft, I try to delete it before I even get around to it. But each writer has their quirks. So the filler words and filter words that I tend to use may not be the same words that you tend to use. For example, a filler word that I used all the time in Meet Me at the Summit was in this moment. It's the same example as honestly, where honestly is meant to add extra emphasis to a moment. And for me, I thought if I said in this moment, I felt blah, 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 that would add extra emphasis. But I was using the phrase in this moment so many times throughout my book that it lost all emphasis. And I didn't even realize I was doing it until my copy editor pointed it out. And then I realized I had used it 10 times throughout the same book. And in order to have an actual impact, I had to delete all 9 other moments so that moment number 10 would be the only moment where I said that phrase and it actually did have emphasis. So these are things to notice about yourself as a writer and realize where you tend to repeat yourself a little too much and that your writing becomes weaker because of it. Now, how can you easily fix filler or filter words from your novel? Especially filler words are the easiest to fix because in Microsoft Word, there's a search and replace feature. And what I did in particular when I realized I used the phrase in this moment a lot, I hit Command F for Mac or Alt F for PC, and it would bring up the search feature for Word, and then I would put in whatever word or phrase I was looking for, and it would show me every time I used that word or phrase in my book. So then from there, you can go ahead and either delete it if it's a filler word, or rewrite it if it's a filter word. So what filler or filter words are you guilty of? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you have any other tricks of fixing that situation. Otherwise, that is it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and I'll see you in the next video.